Hello YouTube, my name is Nero and today we Call of Duty Black Ops 3 playing a bit of Hardpoint here on the map Nuketown, running around here with the BRM light machine gun. Specifically, I'm using rapid fire on this BRM, and if you guys have not tried that out yet, I would highly recommend it. It makes it very, very good. This footage is from a couple of weeks ago. This is all pre-Dark Matter, so I don't have that camo yet unlocked, so I'm still trying to finish up some challenges with the BRM here. And I tried out rapid fire just to see how good it would be, and it is amazing, guys. I'll definitely recommend it. And fun fact, those of you guys that maybe are unaware, there is going to be another Nuketown playlist this weekend for Black Ops 3. So there's going to be no double XP, there's going to be no double weapon XP or anything like that, but there is going to be a Nuketown 24/7 playlist available to us this weekend, which is always fun, right? It's always fun to play on Nuketown. It's always fun to get all the kills and all the score and all that stuff. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. And those of you guys that weren't aware, now you're aware. I think it starts on Friday, so stay tuned for that. And maybe if you guys are looking to complete some more challenges to finish up Dark Matter, or if you're just looking to play on Nuketown and level up very quickly, this weekend is going to be a time, ladies and gentlemen. But I would like to apologize before we get into the video about this week's episode of Dear Nero going up one day later than it typically does. It's going up here on Thursday, April 28th, when typically it comes out every single Wednesday. And the reason for that is I was ill. I mean, it sounds like such a sissy excuse. Like, I seriously had, like, the worst, like, stomach flu that I've had in, like, ages. Like, I haven't been that sick in years. I won't go into the details. I'll spare you the details. But I vomited for the first time in years, and it was horrible. I hated it, man. It was awful. So I felt sick. I woke up just ill. Slept the entirety of the day, basically. Just trying. That's what I do whenever I'm sick. I just try to sleep the day away, basically. I woke up at like 6 or 7 at night, and that's when they confirmed COD 4 is going to have a remastered edition coming out this year, and that's definitely going to be pretty interesting. So, of course, I made a video on that, and then just wasn't enough time to make Dear Nero, so I pushed it back until today. So, hopefully, you guys are all okay with that, and hopefully you guys will enjoy the episode regardless, as we hop into the first one here, which is going to be coming in from Roger Dodger on Twitter, who's going to write, Dear Nero, I recently started driving, and I'm wondering if there is a way to overcome anxiety at the wheel, and if you've had any crazy experiences. And actually, I've had a couple of funny experiences, I suppose, while driving. I think I've told the first one before, and we'll talk about the stories before I get into how to overcome anxiety at the wheel. The first story is, before I even started driving, my friend let me drive his car, and we were driving down just like this store. It was only like 15 minutes away, but it was like on this super like back road. And this area is like full of cabins and whatnot. And we were looking at this cabin on the side of the road and like, hey, I think I would like to check out that cabin on the way back, because this thing's been abandoned for years. Like, this cabin, like, the roof is falling in. Like, nobody's been there in ages. Like, we just wondered what would be in there. You know, we should check that out on the way back. So we're both looking at this cabin on the side of the road. I look back at the road because, of course, I'm driving. And there is this little tiny deer. Like, this deer is like Bambi, but smaller. Like, picture this thing as... I can't even describe it. It is so small. I've been around deer my entire life. I live in Pennsylvania, right? I live, for the most part, in a very rural area, who made up that word? Rural. R-U-R-A-L, rural. It doesn't even sound like a word when you say it. But I grew up in an area like that my entire life, and so I'm very familiar with deer. This deer was so small, I have no idea how I was even able to walk. But it was right there in the middle of the road. There was no time to try to avoid it or swerve or anything like that. Just I hit the thing dead on with this tiny car. Picture like a Dodge Neon, like a Ford Taurus, like a little low-riding kind of like a sedan-style vehicle. I hit it. My friend whose car I was driving didn't even realize I hit something. He thought maybe I just like ran over a stick or something like that. I'm like, I just hit a deer. And he's like, no, you didn't. And he thought I was messing with him. I'm like, no, I really did. And so we finally get to the store and we get out. There's a little bit of blood in the front of the vehicle. I was like, oh no. You know, we get where we went to the store for. We went back down the same road. The deer was dead in the middle of the road. We drug it off to the side of the road, and yeah, it was sad. Hit the poor little deer. The other story I had, because that's like my only quote-unquote accident, I suppose. It wasn't really much of an accident. There was no damage to the car, and the deer was dead. We pull over on the side of the road. Game commissioner comes and picks it up when they see it, and yeah, I guess that's how that goes down. But the other story, I suppose, which is a little bit more lighthearted, a little bit more funny. One day, my brakes decided to go out. Just had no brakes whatsoever, and I was supposed to go out to my grandparents' house that day to help them load up their camper. For a long story short, they're really into vehicles. They have an entire machine shop. They have like this whole thing where it's like they go to these like car shows, I suppose, like in Hershey, Pennsylvania and stuff, and they'll sell stuff down there, like old spark plugs or old magazines or old car parts. I don't even know what all it is they sell, but they have a bunch of boxes that we have to load up into their camper for them because they're old. And so they take them down there, then they unload them down there, and they sell them off down there, which they never seem to actually, you know, get any less boxes. I wonder how much they're actually selling. I don't know. But we usually go out there and help them out with that, and we're supposed to go out there and help them that day. Well, my brakes decided to go out. It's myself and my cousin in my car, and we have to pick up my brother from school to take him out there. And so we call him ahead of time. I was like, look, I have no brakes. And if you guys know, if a car is like in gear, it's just going to constantly move, even if you haven't touched the gas at all. I'm like, look, I have no brakes whatsoever. So we have to do like a hot pickup here. We're going to open the door for you. You need to jump in the back seat, right? And so he's just walking down the sidewalk, like outside of his school. And like, we're going by, like, we can't stop. He has to hop in. And then we're driving down the highway, like out to my grandparents' house. He's like, wait, you have no brakes? And like, nope. And he's like, well, why are we still going out there? It's like, because we told them we would. How else, they're not going to be able to pack up their camper by themselves. So we had to help them regardless. So we're driving down the highway with no brakes whatsoever, and it was scary. Once we got out there, we did what we went there to do. They followed us back into town, and then we basically parked the vehicle until we were able to get it towed out to the mechanics where they fixed it. But it was just interesting driving with no brakes. Like, I've driven ATVs with no brakes. It's okay. Like, of course it sucks because you can't stop when you want to, but you're on ATV. You can avoid things very easily. It's kind of hard when you're on a highway with other people that are also driving vehicles and you have no brakes. Like, I can't get close to anybody because if they randomly like slam on their brakes, I'm going right into them. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. It was interesting. Back to the original question at hand here. How do you overcome anxiety at the wheel? It all just comes down to time. Like most things in life, it gets better with time. And when you first start driving, you're like, oh no, am I staying in between the lines? Oh no, am I staying at the correct speed right here? Because usually people they push down the gas and let go. They push down the gas and they let go, and just they're like putzing down the road basically. Everyone has that when they first start driving, but eventually it will get better. It just comes down to you getting comfortable driving the vehicle. That's all it comes down to. Most people I know, I'm 24. Most people my age, I suppose, or even younger. Because I was like this when I was 22 even. Once you start driving for a while, eventually it just kind of becomes a chore where I don't even want to do this. It's not interesting anymore. Like when you first start driving, it's fun, right? It's amazing when you first start driving. But after a while, it's like, I have to drive half an hour to get to the restaurant. I don't want to do that. Can't we eat somewhere closer? Like, why do we have to go out there, Like, it really is like that, though. Everybody seems to just get tired of driving after a couple of years to the point where they start daydreaming a lot, or at least I daydream a lot while I'm driving. It's uninteresting. I think a lot of people get to that point, and you will too. It just comes with time. Just do your best to do things right. I mean, everyone has their own separate issues. For me personally, I'm terrible at parallel parking. Some people are bad at staying in the line. Some people are bad at staying at a certain speed. It all comes down to time and practice. That's all it is. You'll get used to it eventually. Just try not to overthink it and try to have some fun while you're driving. And also, don't go too fast. Stay inside the lines and use your turn signals. There you go. That's some good advice right there, I think. Next question is going to be coming in from Tyler on Twitter, who's going to write, Dear Nero, do you think you will start a Borderlands 3 playthrough if and when it comes out? Tyler from Canada. Tyler, for sure. I will definitely do a Borderlands 3 playthrough if and when that game comes out, which is going to be coming out just not soon, I guess. If you guys don't know, Gearbox basically announced that they're going to start development on a Borderlands 3 after Battleborn and all of its DLC are done. So we got a while for that before that even starts being developed, but Borderlands 3 is going to be a thing. I'm definitely going to play it. I love the Borderlands series. It's a lot of fun. If you guys know, I'm a huge fan, and I sometimes get questions. People always ask, what game should they start with? Because there's Borderlands 1, Borderlands 2, and Borderlands the pre-sequel. They're like, well, what game should I start with? I've never played Borderlands before. I want to try it out. Which game should I play? And my answer is 2. You should play Borderlands 2. Now, Borderlands 1's a good game. It's the original game of the series. It's a fun game. It really is. It's a good one. But it's old. If you guys have played Fallout, and hopefully this comparison hits home for some people, it's like playing Fallout 3 going back to Borderlands 1. It's very dated, and it's very obvious that it's dated as compared to Fallout 4, right? It's like you go there and the UI is so old looking and the weapons are old looking and just the graphics, you can tell this was made a very long time ago. Borderlands 1's the same way. And it has that old charm to it, sure. But Borderlands 2 is great. It really is. It's one of my favorite games of all time. Borderlands 2 is seriously a fantastic game. So I always tell people, play that game first if you want to try out the series, because I think it's the best game in the series, as well as it will tell you everything that happened in Borderlands 1 through the storytelling of Borderlands 2. So definitely try that out. And if after beating Borderlands 2, maybe you want to go back and try Borderlands 1, you can do that. Or play the pre-sequel, because the timeline is so weird. So Borderlands 1, first game in the series. Borderlands the pre-sequel, if you're going by the timeline, should be the second game in the series, because it's like the events between Borderlands 1 and Borderlands 2, even though it was a third game to come out. It's a confusing little system there, I suppose. That's why they call it the pre-sequel, when really it was just a sequel to the first one. But a prequel to the second one, they call it the pre-sequel. It's confusing, I understand that. But yeah, try Borderlands 2. It's a really fun game. Next question is going to be coming in on YouTube, where he's going to write, Dear Nero, I am an aspiring actor, and I have been working hard at the craft for the past few years. Recently, I have had a hard time staying motivated. How do you stay motivated through tough times? Keep up the great videos. Dakota from California. Dakota, my situation is a little bit different than yours. Now, you say you're an aspiring actor, which says to me you're not quite an actor yet, which means maybe you've had a couple of like side gigs and stuff like that, but for the most part, maybe you're not making any actual money acting. Maybe you're just trying to get into it right now, trying to get your foot in the door, as it were. In that situation, you just have to keep working at it. That's how I was on YouTube when I first started. Was I just wanted to continue. I continued to try to be better and better and better at YouTube because I knew being a YouTuber as a career is what I wanted to do. And I think you know that being an actor as a career is what you want to do. So you need to continue working at it. How do I stay motivated? It's out of necessity. I'm an adult. I can't afford to fail. I don't live at home. I don't have people paying for my bills. I have a ridiculous amount of bills every single month because I'm trying to build credit and whatnot, so I purchased a lot of things on credit specifically to build credit. Like, I could have paid for them in cash, but instead they want me to build credit, so my monthly bills are actually kind of high, and I need to pay those bills every single month. This electricity does not pay for itself, the water does not pay for itself, the food does not pay for itself, nothing pays for itself. I need to succeed. I'm an adult, and so as a result, I stay motivated through necessity. There are times where it's tougher, like this month, for example. I guess it might not be apparent. I don't think it would be apparent. This has been an awful month for me. April has been a very bad month view-wise for me. For some reason, I'm not entirely sure. I think it's just universal across the board because I feel as though I've put out some of my best videos in a while this month. I feel as though I've put out some really good ones. But the view count for this month is really low, and therefore my payment for this month is going to be very low. And how do I stay motivated through that? It's just like, I need to. This is my job. I need to do this to thrive in this world. So I continue to put out videos every single day. I don't just say, screw it, I give up. I keep on going. If I have a bad month, I have a bad month. I mean, I can try my best, but if it happens, it happens. If I have a good month, I have a good month. Just every single day, I try my best to make the best videos I possibly can. And that's what you need to do with your aspiring acting career. Now, if that involves you going to like a different job for a source of income while you're trying to get this acting gig going, then so be it. You might need to do that. That happens to a lot of people. That's like a trope at this point for people that go out to California and they're starving actors or starving artists. They can't actually afford to get the job that they want. So right now they're just like working some job that maybe they don't like in hopes to actually becoming an actor. That's exactly it, man. If you need to find another job to kind of supplement your pursuit of your acting career, then so be it. I mean, that might happen. I mean, when I first got into YouTube, I couldn't afford a capture card or anything like that. I was a customer service representative for AT&T for a short period of time because I couldn't afford a capture card. I couldn't afford anything, a microphone or anything like that. And so that's how I got the money for that. Working as a customer service representative for AT&T, listening to people bitch about their bills. So yeah, I mean, you do what you gotta do, I suppose. But if you have enough passion for it and you never stop trying, eventually your dreams can come true. Eventually. So just keep on working at it, man. The next question is also going to be coming on YouTube. He's going to write, Dear Nero, this is kind of a long one. This message is being written about 10 minutes after you released your Call of Duty Infinite Warfare leak video. I want to share a theory with you, even if you're reading this after the world reveal and it happens to be wrong. Infinite may refer to a timeline, since time is infinite. What would be freaking awesome, all caps, would be if the game somehow takes place throughout humanity's entire history of war. I'm talking about everything between ancient Roman armies to far futuristic ionic weapons. Putting thought into it, I think it can make for a badass campaign like no other. How would multiplayer or even co-op work though? Regardless if this is true or false, I would like to hear your opinion. Footnote, I've been watching your videos since 2012 and I still love them to this day. You are one of my favorite YouTubers, and even though I don't play COD anymore thanks to Black Ops 3, I still watch your videos because of you. Keep up the fantastic work and I hope you have a wonderful day. Sincerely, Dylan from Arizona. Dylan, first and foremost, thank you so much for the kind words. It's amazing because, believe it or not, you're not the only one who still watches my videos even though they don't play Call of Duty anymore, which is so weird to me. It's like, but my videos are like all about Call of Duty. Rarely are they about anything else. I don't understand it sometimes. But thank you so much for the kind words. 2012, that is like 4 years ago. You're definitely a longtime fan. Thank you so much for that. So your theory on Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. So thankfully, there's no world reveal at the time of this video being recorded in regards to Infinite Warfare. So we don't know what it's going to be about. I like your idea of like Infinite Warfare, showing war throughout all the different histories. It almost has like an Assassin's Creed vibe to it, where you're like going back in time, but you're aware that you're back in in time, that kind of an idea. That could be interesting. My first question when I read that initially, before I even like was done finished reading it, when I was like halfway through your paragraph, I was like, how would that work in the multiplayer? Like, are we gonna have clubs and cavemen, and then we're gonna have these guys with spears, and then these guys with sniper rifles? Like, I don't know. Like, it'd be interesting if that were to be the case. It would be an interesting concept. It would, if they were to somehow incorporate that into the campaign. But the thing is, I feel as though that would only be something they could incorporate in the campaign, right? This idea of like having all different kinds of warfare throughout history. The big thing that people are going with is space is infinite. You know, the idea of Call of Duty Space Warfare was the leak initially, and then they came out with the actual title, Infinite Warfare, and think about the fact that space is infinite. I think it says to most people that it's just going to be a space game, which makes sense to me. It's just going to be a super futuristic game, but I do like your idea of like having all different kinds of war throughout history all together. That could be fun. That could be interesting, but I still see it actually happening, but it's a good idea. And you know what? It's always good to have good ideas, because then maybe it'll happen someday. I don't know. I think it'd be cool if they would do something along those lines, but I think they would have to do it like the multiplayer would have kind of a mix of different kinds of weapons, like, you know, old school spears and clubs and stuff like that would be melee weapons, whereas you'd have a bunch of futuristic stuff all put together. It'd be kind of like a simulation in a way, I suppose, but I still see it happening. You can make the multiplayer maps even like, the maps themselves could be great. You could have like a Roman style map, or like a futuristic map, or like a very, very old map, or, you know, a World War I map, or whatever. You can have all that stuff incorporated into the multiplayer, but I don't know how they would like do the weapons and stuff like that. So it's an interesting concept. I think it could be fun. A lot of people talk about the idea of Call of Duty Civil War, and to me it's always like, that sounds like such a terrible idea. Like a Call of Duty Civil War, people don't understand, like, oh, we should have a COD Civil War, it'd be great, right? I'm like, sure, do you like muskets and revolvers and cannons? Because that's about all there's going to be. Like, if you actually look up the weaponry for the weapons that were used in the Civil War, people are like, oh, yeah, that'd be a terrible game, wouldn't it? Yeah, sure. What would the kill streaks be? Cannon? Cavalry? Like, you get a horse for a short period of time, and there wouldn't be a UAV. Maybe they'd call it a scouter, where like this is how they did things, where a guy climbs up in a tree and he like looks off into the distance, and that makes people show up on your minimap. Like a Civil War game would just be, it would be bad. It really would be. But I guess that's not what you asked. You asked about this idea of infinite warfare. It could be a cool idea. I just don't see it happening. I definitely think it's going to be a futuristic space game. Next and final question. He's going to write, Dear Nero, recently Microsoft announced that production of the Xbox 360 has officially ended. It was a very sad time considering how long the console has made us happy for over a decade. My question is, what were your top 5 most played / most enjoyed games on the 360 and why? Love your work. So, what are my top 5 games on the Xbox 360? Now, I'm a fan of series. I think a lot of people know that. I like series a whole lot. Like, if I decide I like a game, I typically like every game in that series. So, I would rank Call of Duty as a whole as my number 1 game on the Xbox 360. That's counting all of the CODs on the 360. My number 2 game would be the Borderlands games, like Borderlands 1 and 2. I played those games a ton. Number 3 would be all the Madden games. I love Madden. You guys know that. I need to actually record more episodes, but I'm like 90 episodes into a Madden series on my Let's Play channel right now, just for Madden 16. Like, I love Madden. I love football. It's a lot of fun. Number 4 would be Left 4 Dead. I loved Left 4 Dead 1 and 2. I played those games a bunch, especially, you know, with friends or family members or what have you. It's Left 4 Dead's a fun game. It really is. I think it'd be cool if they came up with a new one, to be honest, although the old games were just as good. I mean, I can always go back and play those. And the 5th one, after a lot of consideration, it would be probably Red Dead Redemption, because I love the campaign. I thought it was like the best campaign well, not the best ever, but like one of the best campaigns ever. The Undead Nightmare DLC was fantastic. I loved playing the game online, believe it or not. There was nothing to do online. Like, you could rank up like by just like shooting stuff, I guess, and doing stuff like that. But for the most part, my friends and I would just run around this big open world and just find stuff to do. You know, Red Dead was a lot of fun for me. There's a lot of other games that I think I could have put on this list as well, like some of the Gears of War campaigns, or like Forza games I liked a lot, or even a little bit of GTA, between, you know, GTA 4 and GTA 5. I feel as though those are my top 5 games. Call of Duty, Borderlands, Madden, Left 4 Dead, and Red Dead. Yeah, it's sad the 360 has officially come to a production end. I think they're going to continue to support it online for a little bit, but I don't think they're going to be shutting it down by any means. What this basically means, to my understanding, I could be wrong, feel free to correct me, is that they're just not going to be making any more Xbox 360s. Like, they're done with them. There's enough of them in circulation. There's no need to continue producing them. It's, you know, the Xbox One's been out for a couple of years now. It's either, you know, upgrade or not. You know, they're not going to continue to make 360s because there's really no point because, games aren't being developed for the 360 anymore for the most part. I mean, if they are, they probably have a version that's also on the Xbox One as well. If they want people to upgrade to the Xbox One, they don't want people to continue playing on the 360, so they stopped making them. It is a bit sad, but at the end of the day, it's important to remember that I still have my 360. Hopefully, you guys still have your 360 if you ever owned one. I mean, you still have them. You can still play them if you want to. And, yeah, there's a lot of good memories on that console. I like it a lot. To this day, I think the interface is better. I really do. The Xbox 360 interface is a lot better. The controller, you can make arguments either way. I like the Xbox One and the Xbox 360 controller, but if I had to pick, honestly, probably Xbox One. The 360 was good, but I like the Xbox One controller a lot. And it's a good console. It is sad to see it die. I guess die is a pretty harsh word to put out there. I mean, it's not dead. They stopped making it. It's still being supported. But yeah, it is a little bit sad, I suppose. But those are my top 5 games, and let me know in the comments. Those of you guys who played last gen, and this is not only for Xbox 360, but for PlayStation 3 as well. If you guys could, just rank your top 5 games. It's okay if you guys want to rank them by series. For me, it was like all series. COD, Borderlands, Madden, Left 4 Dead, and Red Dead was the one that wasn't a series, even though technically the game is part of a series. But I'm talking specifically about Red Dead Redemption. Let me know your top 5 games for last gen, and what games you guys enjoyed the most in terms of what, just like you mentioned in the question, most played or just most enjoyed. Let me know about that in the comments. I hope you guys all enjoyed this week's episode of Dear Nero, and if you did, please drop me a rating. And if you guys would like to submit your questions for the next episode of Dear Nero, simply send me a personal message here on YouTube or tweet me on Twitter using the hashtag Dear Nero. My Twitter handle is NeroTweets. If you guys ever want to follow me on that, of course, there's always a link to that down there in the video description. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be the end of this week's episode of Dear Nero. Once again, guys, hope you enjoyed it. Drop me a rating. Hope you guys all have a wonderful day.